This is a conversation with Chief Harrison for the Kentucky Marriage, Equality, and Religious Liberty Oral History Project. We are in Studio A of Breckenridge Hall on Morehead State's campus located in Rowan County, Kentucky. It is 1 o'clock on February 9th, 2017. My name is Ricky Nelson. All right, well, thank you for doing this for me today, Chief Harrison. This is exciting. So we'll start off kind of in order of the events that happened, and I'd like to ask you, did you and the campus police make any plans or have any preparations for how you thought the students were going to react to Kim Davis refusing marriage licenses? Did that have an effect on campus in any way?
It didn't seem to. We had no, I don't recall getting any calls about any problems relating to that. My understanding is some students, went down to the courthouse and were involved in some of the things going on there. But as far as on campus, we didn't have any kind of issues.
Okay. Did the protests at the courthouse affect campus in any way? Did you have to do anything special? Did you have to go down to the courthouse even though you're campus police? Yes,
we assisted the sheriff's department and city police because they were expecting a pretty large crowd, which they had down there. So anytime they ask us for assistance, we send some folks, and they return the favor if we have something going on. So we did go down there and send. We had probably 5 or 6 of our officers down there, including me, assistant chief, and a couple more. And went down just to ensure the safety of the public is pretty much what we were there for, to make sure everything was okay.
Okay. All right. What was the environment like at the courthouse? Were you and any of the other police officers worried that some people might get out of hand?
Well, that started even before Westboro. There were protests, and people come from a lot of different parts of the country there, and so at times it was loud, and there was sometimes people with megaphones yelling back and forth at each other and things like that. I think they eventually took the megaphones away because it was causing too much noise problem down there. People had work to do around the courthouses and court going on, things like that. But there were a lot of people, and people had a lot of opinions and on both sides, and again, people from all over the country, and people for the most part spoke their piece, and it was pretty peaceful. Obviously, tensions got high at times on both sides, but for the most part, everything was okay.
Okay, let's move on to talk about Westboro.
Okay.
Now, when did you hear that they were coming? Like, how much of a warning in advance did you receive that Westboro was going to be? We first were made aware through a tweet. Westboro had put on Twitter something, in fact, about coming to Morehead, and then they hashtag coming to Morehead State or something like that. So I got that sent to me. I believe Communications and Marketing has a system set up where something in the news pops up about Morehead, they get a notification or something. So I'm not exactly sure, that may be how we first found out about it. And after that, we started doing a little research checking, and they had some references on their website about coming to Morehead State, and that was a few weeks out. And they on their website they pretty much advertise in advance where they're going to be weeks out, what they're coming to protest or what they're coming to talk about. So. And then they followed that up with a letter to me, which I shared with our legal counsel and administration about their plans to come here. So we were pretty sure they were coming at that point when they sent the letter and kind of letting us know. Okay, well, what are your steps and your preparations for people like the Westboro Baptist Church to come to campus?
Well, pretty much researching what has happened at other places they've gone, and what they do, what their message is, what they're all about. Everybody's heard of Westboro, but kind of from the outside, and really not paid a whole lot of attention, just other than what you see a little blip on the news every now and then. But we started researching about exactly what they're about, what happens at these kind of events. We talked to some other law enforcement agencies about visits to their campuses and things like that. And just so we did a research, and obviously we also talk to local law enforcement, the sheriff and the city police and state police, let them know what's going on, that are probably coming, try to get some intelligence to see, if there's anything, we don't know about out there that could, other groups that might be protesting them or things like that. So we kind of kept an eye on everything like that to make sure we had our ducks in a row, and we had several meetings with the administration and with local law enforcement, and we kind of had a plan together. Obviously, when they said they're coming to Morehead, they're first and foremost, they plan on going to the courthouse, which they did first, and then they followed that up by coming to campus for a little while. So we knew all that in advance, and we had communicated back and forth with them through with our legal office and things. So we were ready for them to come. We had in preparation, we made plans, and we had make sure we had plenty of officers available here on campus as well as at the courthouse. Like I said before, these protests were going on long before Westboro got here with this issue. So much like before, we went to the courthouse. Several of us did to help provide security and in response from the sheriff's department and the city police to help them out with manpower. And then in return, they sent some folks up here when they left the courthouse and came here to help us with manpower too, just to ensure the safety of everyone involved here on campus.
Okay, so they were in front of Laughlin.
That's correct. They were at the corner of Laughlin and Main Street is where they were.
Okay, I remember hearing a lot of students asking why they were put there and not the free speech area on campus. Could you tell us? I'm assuming it was for safety reasons.
It was. There's several issues with it being probably a larger scale protest or gathering than we're used to around the bell tower, which normally is where the people are. We have classes going on. That is a very congested area right there at bell tower. So we're expecting a lot of people. With discussion with administration and legal, we decided to put it there at Laughlin area in the lawn area. The parking would be an issue with the amount of people that were coming. Not only Westboro folks, but law enforcement that was coming to help and things like that. So that spot there actually, I believe worked out well for Westboro because they're right there on the main street in Morehead, and they're also on campus. So I believe for everyone involved, that it turned out to be a pretty good location for them.
Okay, if you could for me talk a little bit about how many protesters were there for Westboro and how they reacted and what you observed when you were watching them protest.
Okay, they probably had about 5 or 6, I guess, and they don't all talk at one time. They kind of rotate in and out and kind of have their own little messages. One of them actually had a protest song about Kim Davis, a little parody song that they sung, and they sung that at the courthouse, and then they came here and sung that too. So they all kind of had different messages they had, but I think about 5 or 6 of them, something like that. And I would say campus community and others that were here, it really is probably a little lower turnout than I thought, but there was probably, it's probably 40 or 50 people, something like that, from the campus community that came, just curious probably, or to see what Westboro had to say. So a little bit lower turnout than we thought actually. So I was pleased. I'd rather be a smaller turnout than a larger one for something like that. But so that's about what of course, some of the students had a I don't even want to call it a counter protest because it's pretty good program they have. The Much More Love, I think is what they called it, and they were holding signs up just to try to put a positive spin on whatever Westboro was saying. They want to put a positive spin and try to make it positive, and for the students that came and everybody that came, I'll say everything was really respectful. The tensions really didn't get high there. I never was worried that things were going to get out of hand or anything like that, because the students they came to listen, and they came to give their message, and just like Westboro came to give their message, and really it turned out pretty well. I didn't see anybody really get mad or agitated or act like they were going to try to provoke each other or do anything like that. So I thought it turned out well as far as that goes.
Okay, so Westboro was respectful of you and the police
yes,
force and
they were.
They were there.
They had a message that they wanted to get out, and that's what they did. And they really, we've seen times where here on campus at the bell tower where some folks come and will, point at somebody and really try to get them agitated just based on what they're saying. And that's kind of what I expected with Westboro, that they might say, just based on some of the things I read and the things they say, that it just, gets people mad more than anything. But really, they really didn't get into that a whole lot. I think their message was really about Kim Davis and things like that, and they weren't really pointing fingers at particular people or particular anything. They were just saying their message, and really, which was good. So it really didn't get a lot of people agitated and mad, and they got their message across, and they really weren't here a really long time, less than an hour probably. So they came and they left, and it worked out pretty well.
Wow. Okay. Now let's talk about the Much More Love event, and maybe just about how. I don't know how that would affect you and the police force, but I guess you could talk about what your reaction was to the campus's reaction to Westboro being here, because instead of everybody going out there and yelling at Westboro and stuff, they said, let's organize an event and take donations and give people things that said Much More Love. So what was your reaction to the campus creating this event?
Well, again, the campus community did a good job of just putting a positive spin on what's generally seen as a negative Westboro coming to somewhere in protest. Usually there's a lot of friction, things like that, so the university did a good job of getting the students involved and promoting that event, Much More Love. And again, a couple of students held signs up and things like that, and I saw the buttons and everything like that. People came to support Much More Love, I believe, and just kind of curious about what Westboro had to say, but it was a good response by the campus, by the university.
Were there any events going on campus that you were worried about that were going to see Westboro protesting, such as campus tours or an open house or anything like that? Do you remember if anything was going on?
I don't recall anything going on that day that caused any kind of alarm.
Okay.
So.
Well, are there any other comments or thoughts that you would like to add to our interview?
No.